Are we live?
We are live.
Okay.
And we are recording. So good evening, everyone. I am Susie Helmy. I'm the interim executive director for the Boston Human Rights Commission. I am calling this public hearing to order at 5 p.m. in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting laws. We are conducting this meeting online to ensure public access to the discussions of the Boston Human Rights Commission. The public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to provide comments at the end of the meeting. This meeting is also being recorded. Unfortunately, because there's no quorum, we can't vote on the meeting minutes. I'm not sure if Commissioner Lee will join later, so if that's the case, we can vote on the meeting minutes if he joins later. If not, we can do it at a different meeting. So I will start with some encouraging, exciting news. I have received the final letter, finally, congratulating our very own, I will not call her commissioner anymore. It will be Chairwoman Cole Telechea. I've been practicing, I hope I did it.
Very good.
She will be our chairwoman going forward. So
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is a great appointment. I'm very excited to continue working with you and well deserved. Thank you you've been leading us in many ways already. So I really look forward to you, Chairwoman, leading us on.
Here,
Thank
here.
you.
And it's also good to have following another UMass person in the
Yes.
That's what it is.
Okay. So thank you very much. I look forward to continue the work that we've been doing. I know that you're gonna hear very soon from the executive director that there are a lot of work being done already. I also would like to let you know that please expect that I will call you or email you in the next few weeks to set up an appointment to have a cup of coffee with each of you and to ask you to help me continue leading this enterprise that we joined a couple of years ago. And I think that we have a lot of good work that we can do. And commissioners now with experience, I think, and an executive director also with experience can make a huge difference now. So no report from me today. Right now is my first moment as a chairperson. So thank you very much.
I'm very, very excited to work closely with you and everyone, but closely with you. And I'm very excited for this appointment, especially UMass Boston, because this is just, we're going to start taking over. I can feel it. I am going to be giving some updates on some of the things going on. I would like this to be a conversation, so I'm going to do updates one by one. If you have any feedback, please feel free to jump in. I will start with staffing first. I'm not sure if you're aware, but our education outreach manager, Quincy Roberts, has been appointed as the first executive director of the LGBTQ+ advancement office. So very excited for him, but that means we are down a teammate. And on another note, Roy Water, who was our director of research analysis, his last day was last Friday. So he has resigned from the commission. So it is just me and Amber for right now. I am making it a priority to specifically fill Quincy's role, which was the outreach role. I think it's really important that we have an outreach person right now, especially as we build the commission and get our projects and initiatives. Someone promoting it alongside me going to community events, I think is very important. So I am going to be, I am currently and actively working on going through the HR process of putting this position online. Once I do put it online, I will share it with all of you so you can share it with your networks. If you have anybody in mind, to please encourage them to apply. I'll pause right there if there's any, but those are updates on staffing. Oh, also on staffing, we have Amber and I have begun our staff training series. So if we're gonna go here promoting human rights and, possibly educating and working towards it, we want to be educated as much as we can ourselves. So for right now, we just completed addressing housing discrimination. It was a training offered by MCAD, the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination. We have 3 other trainings hosted by them coming up. The next one is in August. The next one is in August. It's titled Employment Discrimination. And then we have 2 in October. It's sexual harassment and public accommodation. And we are looking at a list of other free trainings. And they're more human rights focused, and they're hosted by Amnesty International and the UN that we will be attending. So that's something we are really working towards, really educating ourselves to be more efficient and, provide better resources to our city.
Susie, are any of these trainings, especially the ones on human rights, are any of those available for commissioners to participate in?
I do not know the answer to that. I can definitely get you the answer to that. Amber's currently conducting research on the trainings. I am only familiar with the MCAD trainings. But I can reach out to Amber to see if I can share the invitation of the training with you all if you'd like to join. I do know that those trainings are free. The ones in MCAD we did pay for, but the one from Amnesty International and the UN are free. But as soon as I get more information on that, I can certainly share it with you all.
Thank you.
Of course.
I had a quick question,
Sure.
just on the staffing.
Mhm.
I know I fully concur about prioritizing,
Mhm.
but I was just wondering, are all positions that we had originally going to be refilled? Are those still line items, or have we lost any line items? Since we're down 4 staff from 6 months ago.
Right. We don't lose line items is the short answer I can give you. It's more of just what's a priority and what do you want to fill. So obviously I'm serving as executive director. I do not need an EA, so that's not a priority. I also do not need a program manager at the moment, so not a priority. The outreach, like I stated, very important to me right now, and I need someone to help me with that. Obviously Amber's investigator. And then the research analyst is something I think that once we determine more of the projects and what specifically we're going to be doing, we can get into that. But for right now, I just need outreach. But to answer your question, those positions are always available. And because they've already been approved through HR, we don't need to go through any process. It's just a matter of posting them online whenever we're ready to start doing a search for those positions. But that's kind of my thought process right now on the position.
Thank you for the answer. Just a quick follow-up. As a non-governmental person, I remember my days at UMass. Sometimes when positions went for a period of time unfilled, they were either, sometimes you had to basically recreate an existing position because it went so long unfilled, not just from an HR point of view, or even it becomes a very problematic budgetarily wise if you had money allocated for a long period of time because maybe you didn't need it, some people will point out, since you didn't use it. So I am concerned if a position goes too long, that when budgets change, it might be hard for us to make an argument that we needed it if we went long time without it. So just putting that into context.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I haven't heard that happen here, but that's definitely something I'm going to keep in the back of my mind, especially as time progresses and who knows what's going to happen in September or October. But that's the plan for right now, at least. But I do appreciate that. Thank you. I definitely didn't think about that. Okay, so staff training. Last week, Amber and I attended a community listening session held by Counselor Flynn. It was targeted towards the AAPI community and the hate crimes they have either witnessed or been a victim of themselves. So we attended this community listening session. We promoted our intake form and on the resources we have. And Counselor Flynn has reached out to us again for follow-up on potential initial conversations on how we can collaborate further on AAPI anti-hate. So this is something we're going to explore. But I did want to just flag that we did go to this community listening session. And we have been invited to a virtual presentation hosted by the U.S. Attorney's Office next week. There will be opening remarks from U.S. Attorney Rachel Rollins, but it's towards hate crimes, identifying hate crimes, preventing hate crimes, reporting hate crimes. There is a series of guest speakers that will be at the presentation from the Boston Police, to a couple of others, but I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but Amber and I will be attending this virtual presentation next week. I'll pause right there if anyone has anything about that. I have a tendency to ramble, so just cut me
No, I
off if you
think,
guys have questions.
I think it's very, that's an excellent idea. And I see how things are leading to, one thing is leading to another thing. And I appreciate how much you and Amber are putting together your minds and getting training, but also starting to reach out into the community. I think it's excellent.
Thank you.
I just want to echo that. And one thing I think is important as we reach out is making sure that people know it's we create ways, it's two-way street for communication.
Right.
I think a lot of marginalized communities are whenever someone has a city paycheck, basically, they get a little, or government paycheck, they get a little concerned about interaction with them, with interactions. So I think we should be mindful about finding champions in different communities or people that are it used to be the word elder, but we don't use, some people don't like that term, but the community elder or some way to find people, because I'm concerned, and I do think Counselor Flynn is hitting it on the money, that there's a lot of underreported issues that we should be figuring ways that we can report. And I kind of want to bring up an issue that we've talked about in the past, that to kind of raise it up, that as we go forward and we start getting into these issues, I'd like us to explore language, capability and accessibility for a lot of different, I know it's a very complicated issue, so I want to raise it now as we go forward to look at opening this up for language, for hearing impaired individuals, so that as we start looking at some of the issues, because I do feel like just through the rumor mill or what I'm hearing on the street, some of these issues fall in our wheelhouse in terms of there's companies that are perpetuating issues within certain areas. So if Chinatown feels like, for instance, let's just use housing, if they feel like there's a housing issue, we want to make sure that we both have the bandwidth and the ability to make us accessible to the community to hear it. But I really appreciate that Counselor Flynn he's raising an issue that it's been there for a while. And now I'd like us to figure out how that we can play our role in that, being more proactive. And I appreciate you're involved in it. For me, it's just, I'd like to figure out us to look more ways. And it's just not just here, it's gonna be in many communities and many settings to work, figure out individuals that we can work with to help streamline this a bit. Oh, just a little food for thought.
I agree. And I was thinking as you were talking, Susie, that I'm really glad that you and Amber are taking advantage of all these trainings and educating yourselves and hopefully educating us and around, the community hearing, when I have worked on forums, I've worked with the Chinese Progressive Association, and they have been great to work with and have done translations. And so I think that would be, they really have their ear to the ground on what's going on. So I would encourage us to include those types of organizations in our outreach.
I 100% agree, and
Sounds like a great plan.
I will say, language access was actually one of the biggest things that were talked about in the community listening session, along with the underreporting and having that. The good thing about the community listening session is they did have, so we do have a language communications and access department here in the city. So alongside us being at the community session, they were also there and they provided like headsets for those that wanted to hear everything in Mandarin. So they had translators there, but a lot of the feedback that at least I gathered from the individuals that spoke up, which I think is incredibly courageous because it was a really moving event, was language. And the other biggest thing was, well, I didn't think anything could be done. Like what's gonna happen? Like if, you know, someone spoke to, you know, crossing the street and there were a group of kids that started saying racist remarks and all of this. And he was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, they're not gonna get arrested and I'm just gonna get upset and I'm gonna end up hitting someone and then I'm gonna get arrested. But like, what can we do? And the other thing that kind of tied into the language was also immigration status and being scared to report it. And, you know, like, oh, you know, the police is gonna ask for, you know, do I have a green card, or they're gonna ask for my social security number, and I'm nervous I'm gonna get in trouble. That was also another thing that was brought up very much. So there's a lot of intersections when it comes to these issues. But language was definitely a big one that was, and you can just tell, I mean, there were a lot of individuals that had their daughter speaking for them. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and that definitely was something that was really big in the listening session. So I'm interested in this meeting that we will have with Councilor Flynn on potential collaboration and what that would look like and how HRC could help and what other departments do we need to bring in together. Is it more of language access or immigrant advancement office to help, you know, with the stigma of reporting to the police?
So you, in other words, at the meeting, you're going to be talking about how City Hall can.
Yeah, so this one will first be for HRC first, to
Okay.
first figure out like us, what we can we
Yes.
do, and then further than that, it's okay, who else should we bring into this conversation?
Okay.
And what are, like I said, like the top issues that we heard and who focuses on this and that could help is a language
Yes.
access, immigrant advancement, and those kind of things. But
Yes.
the initial conversations will be for HRC's direct involvement in this, or direct like collaboration role in
Right.
this.
Do you foresee that maybe in the future you would like to invite Councilor Flynn to one of our meetings? Maybe.
He has been very vocal and supportive, extremely supportive, especially since I have come on as interim director. I will definitely ask him if he would like to join one of our upcoming meetings, if that's okay with everyone. I will be meeting with him, I think, on the 27th, actually, it's in 2 weeks. On the
He
20th.
can address the commission and establish like a direct personal contact with a person, with all the commissioners, and
I will certainly ask him and invite him to one of our meetings. I'm just going down my list, I apologize. Of trainings. In our, I believe it was the last commission meeting, I spoke about a data collection project that we have started within the Equity and Inclusion Cabinet. So this consists of a Google form that I've been sending to all department heads. And the purpose of it is to figure out the top issues. Now, these are also forward-facing departments, so those that directly serve constituents, whether it's through walk-ins, phone calls, intakes, or what it might be. What are the top issues that they're seeing in their respective constituent groups to see if there's any overlap. And so we have concluded the ones for the Equity and Inclusion Cabinet, and just this week, we've launched it to the rest of City of Boston departments. There's about seven of them that we have sent the Google form out to. Also backtrack. So I send the Google form out, they fill it out, and then Amber and I conduct follow-up meetings just to go over the Google form, because obviously you're not going to put everything in a Google form, to further clarify their answers. Some of the other forward-facing departments that we have opened it up to include Veteran Services, Age Strong, Housing Stability, and Food Justice. Those are just some of the departments, just so you have an idea of the departments we have reached out to. And again, this is just to see each department is responsible for a specific constituent group. Now, are the issues of each constituent group, are there any overlaps, and can we all work collaboratively towards those issues, especially if they're revolving around human rights? So that's the thought process behind that. So we have just launched, we call it part 2 for the rest of those that are not part of our cabinet. And we're hoping at the end to come up with a report with all of our findings of like who said what, where is there overlap, and then have a conversation after that.
Again, I think that's an excellent idea, and that's the way the new administration also can get an idea of what each department is doing and where there can be natural or logical connections and collaborations between the Human Rights Commission and the Food Justice Coalition or
Yes.
whatever. And I think that it'll give you a lot of information about City Hall, and at certain point, it would be great if what you can teach us what you learn about City Hall as a whole, and how the commission can find ways to collaborate with as many other units as necessary. But I think that the necessary step is exactly what you are doing. You have to map first what's there at City
Right.
Hall, and there have been 3 administrations in less than a year. So
Right, and I think it also, at least for me, has been extremely eye-opening on how important and how real intersectionality is.
right.
Because there are 17,000 different constituent groups, there might be 30,000 issues, but they all intersect. And it's just like a web, but it actually has like so many intersections, and seeing that and going with the intent of working collaboratively instead of everyone trying to do their own thing is going to be more impactful for our city. So I think this is a good, like you said, a good step to figure out what are the constituent groups? I mean, what are the constituent groups? What are the issues? How are they figuring out these issues? Is it walk-ins? Is it phone calls? Is it their focus groups? Is it community meetings? And then we can start moving from there and seeing, okay, where's everything intersecting, and how can we work towards not fixing it, but working towards alleviating problems that should not be problems.
I think that it's in a way, it's kind of institutional research. You know,
Yes.
you're mapping the institution, the City Hall,
Mhm.
mapping resources, and also mapping issues and problems and complaints, and probably absences or redundancies.
Yes.
Yeah, well, and that would be great when you gather all that information and analyze it. I think it would be extremely useful for us to have an open conversation about that, and how the commission can play a role, where, how fast, and what would be most important, etc.
Right.
Yeah, we've been missing that.
I agree. So that is our data collection project that we have going on. I also wanted to let you all know that the city I believe it was last week. My weeks and days are blending, but I think it was last week that they had a internal digital equity meeting for departments that have been doing work on the digital divide. I am representing HRC at these meetings, so I have spoken to and I know she's on the call. Thank you, Talia, for always being on these calls. I have spoken about Talia's research. I have spoken about the hearings that we've held, hearing from the providers, hearing from residents and the issues that they're facing. So BPL was at this meeting, and there's a lot of internal city departments.
BPL.
Boston Public Library.
Okay.
I apologize. I got used to the acronyms here, so now I'm riddling them off. I do apologize. It's Boston Public Library.
I was thinking Boston League.
It's Boston Public Library, along with a lot of other city departments. Basically anyone who touches or has directly involved themselves in work with the digital divide. Just kind of sharing our resources and what we've done in the work.
Nice.
And the next step that came out of that meeting is they're going to have follow-up meetings but making it smaller groups. To better gauge on the work that, we've been doing on the digital divide and what can we do going forward as City Hall and City of Boston departments.
I have a question about this one. Remember the city hire, the previous administration hire some consultants to deal with these, and we went to a meeting.
You're talking about
Chair
CTC,
McKenna.
the CTC, the consulting company
Yes,
that conducted
yes.
a study. The study will be, I heard, released, I think it's the end of this month or next month. Their
So
study will be
it's still
released.
going on.
Yes. But I know that they're actively working on the final report, or there's a draft final report of some sorts that
Yeah.
will be released this summer.
Okay. Okay, so I'm sure Talia will be following that very closely, and so will I. But it's great that the work that the commission did and Talia did is so
Absolutely.
helpful. It's so helpful.
And showing the human right lens to the digital divide, because again, a lot of people look at it as just how many laptops did you give out? How many hotspots are there? Without is there digital literacy being promoted? You can't just give someone a laptop and expect them to know how to use the laptop, or expect them looking at it from a human right lens. And language access to that too, right? Promoting free resources and how many languages and where is it being promoted? You can't promote digital, free digital resources through the internet. So I think it's really important for us to continue to be part of those, and I'm
Yes.
excited to be representing HRC at those meetings, so we don't lose the human aspect of it. Because I feel like that gets lost.
Yeah, to the benefit of the private companies that run things and are making millions and signing up people for the free internet now.
Yes.
They are signing up people in droves, but they are also upselling constantly.
But I will
So-
say it was really encouraging to see the different departments there. Because you had, for HRC, they were talking about the human aspect of it. You also had immigrant advancement there. And they spoke to, for example, a lot of immigrants did not want to sign up for these free resources because they were afraid that, there was a stigma that it was somehow going to hurt the immigration case, and they were going to be seen as a public charge. So they did not want to sign up for everything. And so it was very interesting hearing the different departments and again, seeing the intersectionality. So it was very encouraging to see the different departments come in and literally talk about the same topic, but have 7 different views or interactions with their constituent groups on it.
Great.
So we will continue to be part of that. I have not received next steps yet, but I wanted to let you all know about that. Okay. Bylaws. So we have drafted bylaws. And I will be scheduling a meeting next week we have a new attorney assigned to our cabinet. So I will be meeting her tomorrow as just a meet and greet. And next week we will be going through the bylaws. And then I will be circulating it with all of you for review and then hopefully a final vote. So our bylaws can be finalized and available and put to use.
Yes, so just so that, to be very honest, Susie did most of the work. And then I, using the guidelines that the City Hall, the Boston City Hall shared with us about Boston Human Rights Commission and some other documents that we put together, I went in and made many suggestions, some very silly and some I thought more substantial. And Robert also is looking at them. So I think we have something that a lawyer can look at before we share with the rest, because obviously if we made a mistake or if we stepped over our boundaries, the lawyer will let us know. And so we don't have to bother everybody with that. But everybody will have time and space to look at the drafts once the lawyers tell us that the drafts are appropriate, are legally appropriate.
I just want to apologize that I haven't responded to some of that stuff. It's a different format than I'm used to in terms of, I'm used to one structure of bylaws.
Right.
So I'm still kind of conceptualizing a couple of the issues in there. And I want to be a little bit more informed before I ask, because a couple of things I'm like, oh, I should probably know that.
So I had the same reaction, but Susie suggested certain documents and they were very helpful for me, and I'll be happy to also give you the notes that I gave Susie so you see what I did. But basically the skeleton is very much a Boston City Hall skeleton, and then there's our ordinance and our mission that we cannot touch right now, and then the whole deal that I think was pretty advanced by the time, but by now I think Evandro was working on it for a few months. Susie was working too, and then the Mayor's Council also sent us a long memo, very, very interesting memo, very difficult to understand at first for me, but very clear, very useful document. And so, but rather than making, I think, the mistake or pushing this too fast, we would like the council to look at what we came up with based on their own work. If they tell us that we are in the right direction, then we'll come back to you and then we can discuss, and knowing that we're doing the right thing, not wasting anybody's time.
And I will say that a lot of the format and the topics that were outlined in the bylaws came from other bylaws that especially Priska shared in her report, such as the San Francisco Human Rights Commission. So a lot of the subsections, everything from attendance to subcommittee rules to how meetings should be conducted, all of those sections have been very common in other human rights commissions, and that's why I wanted to include it in ours, especially because I would rather have a 27-page bylaw
Mhm,
with everything
mhm.
in it instead of sitting here being confused about what's going
Mhm.
on and how do we
Yeah.
do things.
They're quite long right now. They might not
Mhm.
end up like that, but just
Yeah.
because, you know, we added these and we added that and we talked about this and we talked about that, but I'm sure once we get the go ahead, among all of us, we can come up with a very good document that will be useful for way beyond us, you know.
Absolutely. That is the update on the bylaws that I wanted to give. Also, I wanted to give an update on new commissioner appointments. So they do have several new commissioner, names picked out. They are currently conducting background checks. And I have been pushing for at least one commissioner to get appointed by at least July, and they have, told me that that July 1st is their deadline to get as many as they can onboarded by then. Specifically, especially because we might have a quorum issue.
We need
and
quorum,
that is
yeah.
a serious, not serious, but it is a thing to prioritize right now.
Yeah.
So they have told me that July 1st is their hopeful deadline, that they will have at least one person, could be more, but at least one new commissioner onboarded to our board, to our commission.
Yes, yes, and yes.
And obviously, in the meantime, while they're still conducting their background checks, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to email me them. I'm going to send them over right away. So in the meantime, while they're still conducting the background checks, if you have any, email me and I'll send them right over.
Yeah. Certainly, I think if we get at least one by July, then we'll
Right.
be able to have a quorum. And we will need a quorum to pass the bylaws, and it would be appropriate also to have 6 or 7 people in before we do these bylaws. But if we can't, I'll understand it. But I think I'm going to push with Susie. I'm going to push for this to be done in the summer, both the commissioners and the bylaws.
Yes.
You know, we are learning, or I am learning, that things go very slow. And I need to be a little more patient. I'm not used to that.
It's pick and choose your battles and just understanding where you cannot push and where you
Yes.
can push, but I am especially pushing for the quorum issue.
Yeah. But it is clear that the office is advancing and
Mhm.
that you are leading, you are putting everything in the right order and going forward with the projects that we already have been working with. And also you are making this connection with Councillor Flynn and with the community and with other departments within the cabinet and beyond. And I think that's what the commission needs. I am going to also try to get to know more people at City Hall and in City Council, but I'm also, I think, going to concentrate on establishing relationships with my fellow commissioners, new and not new, and finding ways so that we can start all of us acting, starting to go to meetings, go to committees, reporting back. So the commission has many eyes and many hands, and we can be in many places and be in touch with the city, City Hall and outside City Hall.
I agree.
It's looking good. I know it's been a bumpy road, but things are working. I want to also see Talia, if she's around, I think. That, the work of the interns is enormously valuable.
100%. I will say that those are all the updates that I had on my end. I don't know if you all wanted to discuss or bring anything up. Yeah.
I had a quick question.
Mhm.
Any time frame of meeting in person for the first time ever?
I have no idea, to be totally honest with you, but that is something I can try to figure out.
I know it's a very challenging subject, all the boards and everything I'm on. I do think we should just kind of keep it in bringing it up. I do think it might be easier for us if we were in a hearing room where everyone's very spread out and we follow the original protocols closer than most people are doing currently. That I think it is possible that we could create an area, because I'm still a person who's being very cautious. But I do think that as we progress in our work, being in the same environment for the first time ever, if we could start working towards that.
Yes.
And even if we have to get a little creative since it is warm weather, but I do think that it might be something that I think we could all benefit from.
I agree. And at one point I thought, oh, well, maybe, we could gather outside somewhere, but there are limitations on the cameras and all of these technology thing that we have to have. And then if there are two or more of us, then it is an open meeting. So we have to figure out that, but I'm sure that we can, and
Yeah, and
maybe
there's
taking
a couple-
advantage.
Yeah, there's a couple of like larger conference room here that allow for like there's like cameras or whatever, so the meeting can be recorded, and they're quite large, so we can definitely spread out. I can definitely look into that and see a timeline about meeting in person for sure. I could put that on the forefront to see maybe even our next meeting could be in person.
Maybe the Eagle Room, if
Definitely
nobody's
something I could.
using it.
I will.
It's kind of small up there. Too much fancy furniture, but great views.
That's for sure. That is definitely something I will look into, and I will let you all know as soon as I can.
That's great.
Are there any other items that anyone wanted to bring up, or should I open it up for public comments?
I think we can go to public comments.
Let me get my script again.
Maybe Talia can do some public comment.
Members of the public will now have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment. To do so, please raise your hand or type your question in the chat. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you can press *9 to raise your hand, or you can send your questions to me via email at susan@boston.gov. I can tell you I've been monitoring my email and I don't have any, but I will continue to for at least 2 more minutes just to give people time in case someone does want to give a comment.
Yeah, I don't see anything on the chat either. And I don't think we can vote on the minutes.
We cannot. So, are there any feedback on the minutes from any? In the meantime, I
They
can
were fine.
obviously hold them off until the next
Yeah.
meeting. But is there any feedback from any of you regarding the minutes?
I thought they were fine.
Okay.
I didn't.
Okay.
I think Rob's have something.
I was gonna give another compliment. I like the format.
Perfect. That's been my favorite, and I really don't want to change that. Oh, we
It's
do
very
have a
hard.
comment
It's
from-
very challenging to get them right sometimes.
Yes. We do have a comment from Talia saying congratulations to Chairwoman
Oh,
Reyes.
thank you,
for-
Talia. I unfortunately have Sebastian here. So I think then if there's nothing else, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you all for a great meeting.
Everybody in favor, right? So,
Yes.
everybody in favor.
Aye.
So, thank you very much, Susie. I really, really appreciate the work that you and Amber are doing, and we'll get on board immediately. All three of us, and Lenny, and anybody else that comes in. So moving forward, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
And congratulations.
everybody.
again.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
You too.
Stay safe,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
And you the same.